gas, make it less, make it rock. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. I'ma be the best. Ever done so. Put your foot on the gas, gas, gas. 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 Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. I'ma be the baddest that you ever done saw. I'ma be the baddest that you ever done saw. I'ma be the baddest that you ever done saw. Put your foot on the gas, gas, gas. 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 Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock. I'ma be the best. Ever done so. Put your foot on the gas, make it less, make it rock.
Welcome, CSHR Radio. It's Monday. Y'all know it's the first Monday of the month, so y'all know what time it is here on the Unholy Tea. I got my man's
behind the mic.
Yeah, I know.
You're hiding.
I'm hiding in the shadows. I'm being like Mr. Ghost in the Machine, Hotpxl here. Lurking. But I'm joined myself today by the good friend Hotpxl. And y'all know it's artist interview time. So before we jump into this interview, though, I kind of got a little bit of a different question than normal. Bro, before they can even catch what Hotpxl is, they got to know kind of how this is built, how this brand, have you built this? I mean, it's been dope watching you go through the various couple personas over these past couple years. So before we even jump into it, how about you kind of give the people kind of a history of how Hotpxl came to be Hotpxl?
Can you hear me? You hear me all right? All right. So little backstory. I started off producing back in 2010. And there's a little story behind that too. I won't get too into that unless you ask. But it's went through a couple of different aliases throughout the years. You know, when you first start off, you're kind of just making whatever and doing whatever. And I was probably 16, 17 at the time. Use some goofy name, and just kind of your tastes evolve over the years. So your artistry kind of your artist branding, everything kind of evolves with that, right? And for a while, I stuck onto a thing called Tigers, and it's funny. I got that name from this tiger tattoo on my arm. That's the whole reason I used that name.
Nice.
And I used that for a couple of years, and I got a couple of good label releases with that from back in the day, from EDM.com. Some stuff with All Things Trap. You know about that one. And some decent support with that, but I ended up changing it just because it did not work very well for search engines. Not super optimized. You look it up and you just see every generic sports team ever. On top of if you go on YouTube, it was sometimes you'd find my songs, sometimes you'd find some Fortnite kid. You don't know. And so I was okay, this has to change. And then at the time I was kind of because with that project I was doing a lot of trap, future bass, and a lot of guitar infused stuff. So I was, grew up playing guitar, and I wanted to do a lot with that, which is cool and all. But my music taste was also changing. That's when I started getting really into deep house, and things like that, the little chill vibe stuff. I've always kind of liked the chill vibe music in general. I just never really got into making it. And then ended up discovering Selected, and that's how I got like into really know. I was like, all right, I'm gonna, I started off as like a side project, and I just used my own name, just Jake, right? And that's where that came from. And I was like, how do I brand this? How do I do all that? And it was like, well, it's just me. What do I like? So I was like, I like space and shit like that. Like, okay, that kind of works. Let's make it like planet vibe and space vibe. It kind of works with like the deep, like chill stuff. And it ended up just kind of went from a side project to like the main project. And then that kind of evolved more into, okay, this name also kind of sucks. It's like, again, not very well optimized. And it just, staying with the house theme for a while there, moved into more my own signature sound kind of, which is like now it's like that deep but like techie bass line stuttering, stutter about house vibe stuff. And then like again needed like a proper branding, and it finally just came to me. I was like, that name works out really great. One, for SEO purposes, you can search it really easily. There's no one else with that name except like one guy on Instagram, which I've tried so hard to get. I don't know why he has that name on there. The account has been active in years. I've tried to get that account. The only one, but you will not find another one on Spotify. You will not find another one on SoundCloud. It's the only name out there. And the branding is cool because it's like a Hotpxl was literally just like it's a dot like on your phone screen, for example, right? As somebody who has like a big camera background, I went to film school for college, and that's what I do now, and I work in TV. It's like, okay, that actually defines me quite a bit. But I can work into that because like it's like a glitchy kind of thing. You can make it like very glitchy, cool effects and everything. Like there's like kind of like a whole like a world of like possibilities where I can make it my own unique branding style that goes with it.
I like it. I like it. So now that we've gotten the base of where Hotpxl came from, let's get to Hotpxl. And I got to say, Hotpxl getting quite hot right now.
Got some stuff coming up.
I'm just saying, like, I just see you drop a post today. Look like you just caught something big.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. It's not direct support. It's on the patio, the same event though, but opening for Wookie. That's gonna be cool, man. I seen Wookie play before live at Dance Festopia. That was awesome. Dude probably had like the best set the whole festival. It was insane. Also a huge fan of Inner Party System back in the day, which if you guys don't know, he was in that band. He was the like their synth player or whatever he was doing, Nice. And I think it's how he evolved into just straight DJ from there.
Nice.
Yeah, big fan of that. Super excited for it.
So you come in bass house or you come in more deep house rap?
I'm probably gonna play a lot of my own stuff, to be honest.
Ooh, they in trouble.
I'm probably gonna play a lot of my own original stuff. Yeah.
Ooh, they in trouble.
A lot of my new stuff, a lot of unreleased stuff.
Nice.
I got a couple things releasing right up before that show starts, so there'll be some new ones you'll be already hearing before.
Nice.
That day comes up. Yeah.
Where's that about to be at?
Electricity.
Ooh.
Yeah.
How long have you been wanting to play Electricity, bud?
For like 15 years.
How does it,
dude? It's hard as hell.
How does it feel though? Like before we even like start talking music, how does it feel to be playing somewhere that you literally wanted to play at now for like 15 years?
Feels great, man. I remember the first time I went there, I seen Savant there back in the day, and that was an awesome show. And if you know who Savant is, he does not come to the U.S. no more. And that was a long time ago. And that was, again, I was probably like 18, 19. First time going to that club, and it was insane. I was like, dude, I gotta play here at some point. And that's also kind of what also started me into like getting into like the whole DJ producing thing, like really hardcore. So it feels like a really cool opportunity to be able to go out there and do the show. I played like their Mojo Room a few years ago. That doesn't really count because there was no headliners, just a couple local guys doing their own little thing in a side room. The main room wasn't even open. So like that doesn't really count.
He said I want to play.
Yeah, it doesn't count. That wasn't even a real show.
Well, we know that show about to be litty like a titty.
It's gonna go off, man.
So, what inspired you to start making music?
Okay, so this is kind of funny. Growing up, my dad's side of the family is all guitar player, country singers. Right, they're all very big into like country music and acoustic guitar, all that stuff. I picked up the guitar, like that's cool. I do not like country music. Dude, if you know me, I just rip on country all the time, dude. And on my mom's side, I was growing up I grew up with my mom because my parents were separated. But she's always listening to the same radio station, WIOT, if I can name drop that or not. They've been playing the same music for the last 30 years.
30 years.
Dude, and I'm like, I'm so tired of hearing AC/DC. I'm so tired of fucking hearing, I like Motley Crue, but I'm tired of hearing the same 2 Motley Crue songs for 30 years.
You ain't the only one that disliked that station. That's the station they played on the striker bus.
Man, it sucks. And so, like, growing up when I was younger, when I was like 14, 15, I used to kind of hate music a little bit. Like, because I didn't know anything else. I was like, dude, what? This is it? This sucks. You know what I mean? Like, and I've told this story so many times. It's never stops getting funny. And then I ended up discovering, when I finally got the internet around like 14 years old, something like that, I ended up discovering Newgrounds. I remember Newgrounds. And that's how I ended up finding techno for the first time. And I was like, this is something different. This is cool. Okay, I like this. And the hilarious thing is I never actually got into making techno. When I first started making music, I was making dubstep. And what happened with that is when I was in high school, it was around like 2010 time. I didn't know what dubstep was. I was a big metal guy. And my one friend, he was like, hey, man, have you ever heard of dubstep? I was like, and he was like a real big hard style guy. I knew what that was. I was like, no. He's like, shows me this. Like, the first thing he showed me was a song that he made, actually. It was dubstep. I was like, this is kind of cool. It was like that classic, like, super wobble sound. I still like that kind of stuff. It's cool.
Old throwback dub.
Yeah, the OG dubstep. I was like, oh, that's super cool, man. How'd you do that? And he like showed me the program he used. It was an old copy of Maxxx2 back in the day. They still use that program too. It's not very good. They've come a long way, but I was using like Maxxx2 like 3, I think, back then, like 3 or 4, and we just used that program. Went on a website called Looperman. It's called
Looperman. Okay.
Looperman. And you can get on there, you make an account, you can download a bunch of free like loops and samples. People like anyone can upload to. So they're usually not the highest quality. You know what I mean? But think of it as like a precursor to Splice back in the day. Like this, before splicing around, this was the place to get free samples. They weren't great, but sometimes you can find some good stuff in there. And we were just like downloading samples and just throwing together, making songs just doing that. Just looping stuff together. And it's funny because like he quit. And I kept trying to give him like, hey man, do this. And I just fell in love with it. I just never stopped. I just took it and went with it and went crazy with it. Right. And I ended up getting, like, when I was 18, I got access to a bank account that I couldn't touch until I was 18. Had like $1,000 and I went to Guitar Center, blew all the money on shit I didn't need. I bought like a couple of MIDI controllers. I didn't know what any of it did. I didn't know what any of it did. And like I'm sitting there like thinking this little like MIDI keyboard makes sounds. I didn't know shit about it. But it came with a copy of Ableton Live Lite, and that's what got me like a foot in the door to better producing. You know what I mean? Because Maxxx2 was good, but it wasn't good for like going above and beyond creating.
So you started with Maxxx2, then you went into Ableton Light. What DAWs have you went through? Like as you like learned to make your sounds, how is like your DAW of choice evolved?
It hasn't really stemmed too far from that. I use Bitwig Studio now, which is, it's a lot like Ableton. It's made by guys who used to actually work for Ableton. And I switched to it back in 2017 with, I think it was version 2 that was out at the time. They're on version 5 now. And at the time, it just had everything that I wish Ableton had. Because I was already using Ableton by this point for like 6 or 7 years. And I was like, okay, but I was also using like a pirated copy of it, And I was like, all right, man, I have money now. I need to like invest in something. Start taking it a little more seriously. I'm looking around different DAWs. I'm a little bit of a tech nerd. I've tried pretty much everything out there. I can use basically everything out there. I've learned how to mess with like FL Studio. I played the demo quite a bit just to have fun with it. Because sometimes it's fun just to try different things. Get used to other workflows. It gets the creativity flowing. But I ended up going with Bitwig because at the time it was very similar to Ableton, so it was like not a whole lot of learning curve there to switch over, and it had everything I wish Ableton had at the time, which it didn't have. Right, and it's funny because if you look at the updates between Ableton and Bitwig, it almost kind of seems like Ableton's just trying to copy the things that Bitwig comes out with.
Like they lost their best developers and now trying to follow.
It's kind of like that. It's funny because like Bitwig's very innovative when it comes to like releasing updates, and they're very good about like updating quite often. Ableton doesn't do that. But on top of that, I also like because of the price point. Ableton's very expensive. Anybody can tell you that. It's like almost $1,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas Bitwig was like $400. So
when I was like starting to look in how I wanted, that's how I got with FL Studio. Because
their price is fantastic. Yeah, you can't beat that.
Yeah, their prices are crazy, fantastic. But like you said, Ableton was like, oh yeah, I'm not affording this.
Yeah.
So
you pay a premium for them. That's for sure.
Yeah. when you're like getting into that bag and you're ready to write something, open up, like, give us a peek into that creative process coming from you.
So a lot of times it kind of comes from me like getting inspired from listening to stuff in the car. I drive around a lot, so I'm always on Spotify. I listen to like the new Spotify AI DJ. I have that thing playing all the time. So I'm always listening to new stuff, always looking for new stuff, especially as a DJ, constantly hunt for new stuff. So sometimes I'll hear something this is really cool. I'm gonna try doing something like this. Now I'll go home, open up the recording program, I'll pull Spotify, I'll pull that song up and just kind of like copy certain parts of it, because you learn by copying. I'm not saying I'm just like making duplicates of these tracks, but I'm kind of like, all right, I like how this section kind of flows together. I'm gonna do something like that and kind of span off from there. That's where a lot of it comes from. Sometimes I'll sit there and just kind of goof around, but if I do that, I usually don't get very much of anywhere. I just can't create without some kind of inspiration. Otherwise, I just go like weeks at a time without getting nothing done.
I know that
feeling. Yeah, you know that feeling.
Oh God, like open it up, you sit down for like 5 minutes, you're like, all right, screw this. It's next.
Yeah. You spend like an hour making something just to delete it all later.
Yeah. So you're sitting on like hitting at one of them goals, and I've even heard you myself, like, I want to play electricity. What are some of the goals? Like, what are some of the things for you as an artist? What are some of the milestones you're aiming for?
That's one of them. I was definitely getting more support slots for shows, some more recognition. Like trying to move up in like in the area's local thing, in like that tier, because you got on people where it's like you can look in an area that you go around to a lot. You're like, all right, yeah, this guy's gonna play. This guy's gonna play. Like you can kind of tell people who like the best artists in the area are. I want to be one of those guys who's like in the forefront of someone's mind.
Nice.
When they come up with like if you're like, yeah, I'm going to Detroit for this show. If somebody's like, oh, who's some of my favorite guys in Detroit? I want to be one of the people that get listed off, and they're like, who's some of the guys you like in Detroit? You know what I mean? Even though I'm not even a Detroit local, I'm there enough to claim it. Yeah,
you might just look.
I'm up there all the time. Yeah,
the way you've been playing up there, I feel like you might as well be like adopted into the Detroit city.
It's funny. I hear a lot of those guys say that too, and then I get the exact opposite from other people. I'm like, dude, pick one.
Just saying, like, you kind of like the adopted brother from Toledo up there right now.
Yeah, it's funny.
It is, but like, it's kind of dope watching it for real. Like, watching you rock like this is awesome for real.
It is hard work up there, man, because they are super competitive. They have a lot going on, but they have a much healthier scene than we do. We have like 3 venues here and one of which is worth playing at, but even that's not great. And they have, man, I'm still finding new ones every damn week. It seems like up there.
Man, listen, here's my take on that. The more I'm starting to get out the city and see places, I'm just like, yeah, no.
Yeah, and each scene is gonna be their own kind of weird, toxic.
I mean, but not even so much that, like the venues. When you said the venue, right there, the venues.
Quality of venues a thing too, man. Yeah,
like, it's amazing.
Because up there they have like actual nightclubs.
Yeah,
we have like dive bars that try to be nightclubs.
So, what is the thing that you yourself like the most about being an artist? What is it that gives you the most pleasure from this?
Showing people new music. I always love that. It's cool. It's like, check out this thing I made. And you're like, oh, this is super cool. And it's like you can kind of take pride in just like that reaction you get from people. I've always liked that. Especially because I'm a little bit of a show off. So like when I show like girls specifically, that feeling. You're like, yeah.
Oh,
gotta show up for the ladies.
The city's most eligible bachelor right here on the Unholy Tea.
You gotta show up for the ladies.
So, if somebody was to sit down and ask you, what do you feel your strengths as an artist are?
I would say uniqueness is one thing. I'm always been like uniqueness and diversity. All right, because if you look through my catalog, currently you're going to find a lot of the similar style. They're all going to be a little bit different. A little bit, especially right now it's in the house range, but they're all going to be slightly different. I've pretty much touched on every type of house at this point, it seems like. But if you were to go through my old stuff too, you'd be like, dude, this guy's on every freaking genre in the sun. You know what I mean? And there's more to it too. Even before all that, if you know where to look, you can find my really old stuff from like 2010.
That is why we even started this one. Like, hold on, before we get to Hotpxl, like, you got to name drop the other names.
There's some older ones before those I listed off earlier. I'm not going to name because it's really bad, but it's still out there. And if you go digging, you might be able to find it. It's crazy, but yeah, I would say creativity, uniqueness, diversity.
So, if you could pick any 3 artists, any genre, and those are like the 3 artists that you could like have a magic wand and get like, all right, these are my 3 collabs. What would be the 3 collabs that you would aim for?
Well, currently right now, I'd say Cream. Cream's one of my favorite artists right now. Yeah.
Anybody that knows this man knows
huge.
that is a true statement.
Yeah.
He is a Cream fan.
Huge fan of Cream. I definitely bought a ticket to that when they came here, like first thing. The Glitch Mob is actually another huge love Glitch Mob. Yeah, I've seen those guys live. Actually, it's funny when I went to Electric Forest the first time. We were late getting into the gate. I think it was like the second day there, and they were playing. Have you ever been to Forest? It's like that.
Not yet.
Okay, so they have there's like the main stage. So you get in the gate, there's like a stage, right? Then you go back a little ways, and the place is huge, right? The grounds are enormous. So if you go from that stage in the front gate to the main stage, it's probably like a 5-10 minute walk. Like through like some like vendor areas. It's like a big like resort park.
Nice.
And then they have another stage, probably like because they got that main stage right there, and then there's like this thing called Sherwood Forest, which is enormous. And it's all like super trippy, super cool, decked out, all decorated. And that area is gigantic, right? Then behind that is another stage, and that's where Glitch Mob was playing that day. And so I get in the gate, and my ass just sprinted. And it's probably a mile to that stage, right? I get there in 5 minutes. The crowd's already gigantic. I'm like 10 minutes late to the set. I'm just pushing my way all the way to the front. I got my phone out. I'm taking video the whole damn time. It was so cool. And then probably like for the third one, I'm gonna just say Skrillex because it's like that miracle. Like no one's gonna get that collab. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like my buddy I was saying earlier that got me into producing. The very first dubstep song I heard after him showing me his original song was a Skrillex song. It was that Scary Monsters Nice Sprites album. So that's also like, like everyone's, generic dream collab right there. But he's also been like kind of an inspiration. He's always been like, super all over the place, and he kind of makes more than just one thing all the time. Yeah.
Skrillex has been rocking.
His new stuff is crazy, man. It's funny because it's like there's so many like dubstep kids that'll just like hump him all day. Then it's like he comes out with this Bass House album. It's like, all right, hey man, even Skrillex says you're wrong, kid. So branch out,
That's so. Since we hit house right there, what was it that really kind of drew you into that niche with house music? And I asked this one because for me, starting out, I kind of like ran from house music like it was the plague.
Which I don't understand that either.
Honestly, the 4 on the 4 and the phrasing intimidated me. Like being new into like being a DJ, the concept of like knowing and hearing so many people like drilling about that phrasing and that 4 on the 4, like it was like, hold on, I don't want to worry about that yet. Let me focus on everything else.
I mean, I can kind of get that if you're coming from like a hip hop DJ background, top 40 background, it's a whole different style of mixing.
It is.
You know what I mean? But it's almost kind of easy in both senses, like the top 40 mixing and the house mixing. It's just 2 different ways of thinking. That's all it is. Because you're like top 40, the hip hop, it's a lot of just like drop on the one, the hip hop slam where you can just like boom, 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 you're done, Whereas like if you're trying to like be really formulaic mixing house, it's just a lot of like counting phrases, counting bars, pretty much everything within every 8 beats, something changes. And as long as you're mixing in 8 bars, you're safe, If you want to get really crazy with it, you can do like 16 bars, 32 bars, because some of them are super extended like that. But a lot of it, if you can count to 8, you're safe. I mean, it won't. If you mess it up, it's not the end of the world. But if you want to be impressed, like the snob is going to be like really picky about it. That's the way to go.
What's up, Lee? Glad to see you joining us. Stick around because this one's going to be a great one. So, but what was it about house that kind of really drew you in?
I've always kind of liked it. Especially when I first started getting into producing, I was making a little bit of everything at the time. I never really stuck to one genre, and I still kind of don't for the most part. I try to a little more so nowadays stick to my own personal style because it's better for marketing purposes. You know what I mean? It's easier to market someone who's doing the same thing as opposed to someone just all over the place. You know, because kind of like, how do you pinpoint that? But I've always kind of been into it. I was always a big fan of Monster Cat. It's a big label. And they were always releasing all kinds of different stuff. So I was kind of just like, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. And that was back when I was kind of still getting into like the whole, you know, electronic music thing. And so I didn't really do like, I had no predetermined, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't really have a preference to anything, you know what I mean? I was kind of just like, it all was just like, to me, it's just all electronic music. I wasn't really like, I only like drum and bass. I only like house. I like those. You know, it's always kind of like, this is all cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is all cool. So I was kind of like, yeah, I like a little bit of everything. And
I definitely understand that because, like, coming into like electronic music, that's how it feels. Like, wait a minute, what is all this? This is cool. Like, I don't know.
And I think a lot of it too is like, because I was producing for like 10 years before I got into DJing, and when I got into DJing, I was playing a lot of trap, playing a little bit of everything. That's I was listening to a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? So I was playing like trap, feature bass, house, dubstep, just all over the place. Which, you know, at the time it was like that made sense for me. So I was always all over the place anyway. So it was kind of like if you knew me, like, oh yeah, it makes perfect sense. He's done all over the place. But it's like as I got more into DJing and really getting better at DJing, it's kind of like, man, I just kind of like really like making people dance. And what genre does better than that than a steady beat? You know,
well, house and drum and bass.
Yeah, drum and bass works. Anything with a steady beat, anything that's like somewhat repetitive enough that it's catchy. You know what I mean? You can't go wrong with the or like just, you know, the
boots and cats.
You know, the drum and bass thing. It all works, and I just like grooving, man. I like getting people dancing. It's an awesome feeling. And it's like that also kind of like solidified the. I think I was going to push into this one style kind of thing, you know. It's
so. In your view, what are some of the qualities that really kind of come forth in a good musician? What? Or let me reword that. What qualities is it that a person really has to possess that's going to take them from being that I enjoy making music, I enjoy being an artist, to kind of push them to that state where, like you said, I'm hungry. I now want people to know me as the best.
Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of that is you have to like be obsessed with it. You know what I mean? You have to like, there's a little like a little phrase I heard recently. It was somebody talking about like success. Like if you want to like make it as, we'll say like an artist, right? If you want to make it as an artist, you want to like be the guys, you know, headlining the EDC in 10 years from now. You can't just like kind of want to do it. You know, there's wanting to do it. There's really wanting to do it. There's really wanting to do it. And then there's wanting it so fucking bad you're willing to sell everything you have to do it. You know, you have to be absolutely obsessed with it. It has to be like, if you're not thinking about that 24/7, you're not going to get there. You know what I mean?
I like that answer. I love that answer.
I think you can put that towards like making your own music too. Like, yeah, man, if you know me, if you look at my YouTube history, it's always like production tutorials, like anything. I'm always watching everything all the time. I don't even care if it's something I already know about. If it's something talking about this is how to use a compressor, like I'm gonna watch anyway, just because they might know something
that you don't.
They might, yeah, exactly. They might say like 2 seconds of something in this 10-minute video that I'd never heard before, and just some new technique you can try out. And you have to be obsessed with like trying to be the best you can, and you kind of have to be obsessive of learning all the time. You have to be constantly learning, constantly growing, and constantly innovating.
Growth and evolution, put simple, right there. So, in growth and evolution, as an artist, you build your skill set, you build your chops. If you were to look back, what were the primary skills that you can look back and say, these are the skills I really had to build to push myself as an artist?
Man, for me, that was definitely learning how to use specific effects, like not just like slapping on presets of stuff. Like, and the funny thing is that's like, it's funny, but it's like, it's true. Cause like a compressor, for example, I didn't really know how, like, I never really understood how to really use a compressor. I knew what they did, but I never really understood how to really use them effectively until like within the last like 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? I was kind of slap them on, tweak something. I'm like, all right, that sounds cool. But I didn't really actually have a deep understanding of what I was doing. And on top of like, you know, like overlapping reverbs, You know what I mean? If you have like you're using a reverb on one sound and you're using a totally different reverb on another sound, it's gonna sound weird. You know, if you do that too much, you can get away with like maybe two of them. But if you do it with like a couple of different ones and you have all your different sounds using different reverbs, it's gonna sound really weird. It's gonna confuse your audience. You know, when's the last time you heard a band playing in 5 different rooms at once? That's what reverb does. You know, it emulates a room. So you're better off sticking to one reverb for the whole thing. You know what I mean? At least that same reverb sound. And just sound design, other one. I mean, when I started getting into the deep house things, deep house is very picky on like basic wavetable, basic synthesizer sounds, or just like filtered out and creating the sounds. And so when I got into deep house, I got really good at like creating those simpler sounds. And it's funny because like those simpler sounds, the simpler tracks, are usually the ones that end up doing the best. You know, they're more effective sounding. Now, granted, I don't think like being like a sound design guru is like it's not something you have to do at all. There's a reason why it's a whole different job all its own. You know what I mean? But I think if you know just at least a tiny bit enough to just like you take these sounds you got enough to just know how to tweak it, you're good to go.
Outside of music, what are the hobby and interests that are like really you? Like, what is it outside of music that life contains for you?
A big action sports guy. Yeah, I was actually at the skate park earlier.
If you ever go out with this man, if you go out somewhere, if there's somewhere to do parkour, make plans because you're gonna go into a parkour park that day.
Yeah, super big into parkour. I actually my buddies own a gym in Maumee, so I go there quite a bit. Always been like really into skateboarding, rollerblading. Not really so much BMX. I got into it a little bit, but it was always really expensive. You know what I mean? It's a super expensive sport to get into. I wasn't like rich growing up, so. Another thing I really like doing is like really big into graffiti art. Always have been. That's always pretty cool. Man, what else do I do? I'm always doing something crazy. It's something different all the time, man. I'm just like, my friends had a joke back in the day. They used to say I have chronic gotta do shit disorder. So like if I wasn't like if I'm not sitting at home doing nothing, I'm like, oh God, let's go do this, let's go do that. I'm always on the move, man.
I hear that hurts so much.
I don't know, dude. I don't know if it's like some kind of crazy ADD I got or something, but it's like I can't sit still and do nothing all day.
You gotta seize life.
Yeah.
You gotta seize life. So one of the questions on the list, we kind of already got the backdoor answers from when we were asking about collabs and stuff, because I would ask you what musicians inspire you, but we know Cream, one of them.
Huge influence.
Oh, besides Cream, any kind of specific artists that really kind of influenced where you started coming from with your music?
Recently, I would say, besides Cream, this is kind of my secret weapon in my sets lately. There's an artist called Goloski I've been listening to. Really cool stuff. He makes like a lot of like, it's like tech house, but kind of like has that older vocal chop sound to it, like the old like electro stuff. Recently got on that label Tasty, and they're back in the day used to be great for like a big electro stuff. They got a lot of those old guys pretty popular, and they're going through pretty cool resurgence. But because of that, I've been listening to like a lot of the older electro stuff recently. So like Tokyo Machine, Favorite, things I used to listen to from a long time ago back in the day. I started listening to that stuff, and I was like, man, this stuff needs to come back, dude. It's so cool.
The resurgence of the old.
It was a cool sound, man. Mord Bustang, that's another cool one. That Lick the Rainbow song.
Yeah.
You know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff needs to come back.
So, what has been thus far your favorite performance? Your favorite booking? What has it been?
I gotta think about that one.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, probably it was an EDC Orlando mansion after party I played.
I was listen
Dude,
before you go.
You
any
already knew I
further,
was gonna say that.
I know this story, and I ain't even gonna lie to you. I was so hoping asking this question, this was the answer to
I
it.
might still have the video. I'm gonna look for the video while I'm talking about this. But who was messaging me?
He about to tell y'all a dream I got right now.
It was so crazy. So I know this girl from back in the day that when I used to play in bands. Our singer was dating this chick, and just like kind of being friends with her. But it's funny because she got into electronic music shortly after they broke up, and we hung out and stuff, and I was like showing her music and whatever the fuck. But she ended up moving to Florida. Yeah, she went all over the place, but she moved to Florida now. And I still talk to her once in a while. I was like, hey, I'm coming down there for EDC. I was like, do you know anybody who does anything out there? She's like, yeah, I have this friend. He like does a lot of like stuff in the area, like in the same in Orlando. Because I could talk to him if you want to play. I was like, yeah, sure. And like, come to find out, this guy is doing a mansion party. It's like an unofficial EDC after party, and him and his buddies rent out this great big mansion in Orlando for like the whole weekend. And we get there, it is like 7 a.m. when I'm supposed to play. Right? It's in this like I got there to walk around. I got to explore the mansion for a little bit. There is still like just hundreds of people there, and I'm supposed to play in this kitchen. And there's just like this. There's like these decks set up in the kitchen, and there's just people all over the place. Just they've been up all night, partying. They're all there for the festival. Everyone's just having a good time. I just thought it was hilarious. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I've never met this guy, and he's like, oh, you're friends with her? Yeah, come on, I will come every place. I'm like, dude, it's like the weird connections you make throughout the years. Like that actually, this girl that I met through my band's singer that he used to date is the one that got me hooked up to this EDC after party in Orlando, 10 years later. I'm gonna find this video. I'm getting close. It is nuts.
You and early morning plays seem to happen.
Dude, no, I left the festival because EDC closes at, I think like 11, something like that. Went back to the hotel and slept, and I got up at 5 a.m. to go to that mansion after party. I did not stay up all night.
I'm just saying, like, you telling me about this one?
There's the decks right there. This is just one room. There's people all over the place. There's an upstairs, another stage upstairs with more decks set up.
Yeah,
it was nuts. And the funny part was that they have like this I was so fascinated by this gigantic fridge they had in this mansion. Like the whole house is super nice. The whole place is super nice, right?
What you said in the morning, I'm looking at the fridge too. Like, hey, what's in there?
What was funny is it was like we get there and we're like, dude, check out this like gigantic fridge they got. It's huge. It was like the size of a car. We were like, this is fucking crazy. We open it up, it's nothing but eggs. Look, it's eggs. It's just cartons and cartons of eggs everywhere. Like that's like the only thing they bought to eat the whole time. Big omelet. Dude, I wish I had pictures. This is the funniest thing. I'm like, man, you're gonna go to the hospital for high cholesterol with this, dude.
So since you seem to be like an early morning crazy story type of guy, I know you got that story about an early morning movement set too.
Oh yeah, this was funny. Because I just played. I think it was because I was telling you about it when you played. We did that movement pre-party last week in the same place, but I played there last year, and I get down there. I was supposed to play at 9 a.m. And so we get there at 7 because we thought that's when everyone was be. That's what they told us. They're like, be there at 7. I'm the first one there. Clearly, no one else is there. And there's another place right next door to it because we get to go into the back door, and you can't tell the difference. I've never been there, and you've seen how that back door was. Yeah, you can't tell which one's which. And but we get there, and there's a line already. Like the bouncer's there, they have like the rails up, and it's for the wrong bar next door. And there's a line there of all these people standing there, and we get there like, all right, yeah, this must be a place. And I just cut the wrong line. I was like, hey, I'm supposed to be DJing later. And I have all my stuff with me. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead. And let's meet in, man. And we get in there. It's 7 a.m. There's like 100 people on this rooftop just already, going. They're like, yeah, we've been up here since 5. I'm like, what? This place is cool, dude. It was like, the whole thing is like, it looks like you're in a Greek villa, dude. It was super cool looking. I wish you could have seen that place. But they're all there just going hard, dude. I'm sitting there like ordering drinks at the bar, like, at the right place. An hour goes by before I realize I'm at the wrong bar, dude.
That's gonna be great. Like 7 in the morning, I'm drinking thinking I'm at the bar next door to where I'm DJing.
Yeah, man. It's like 7 in the morning. I'm sitting there having a freaking White Claw at some rooftop in Detroit at the wrong bar.
5 o'clock somewhere.
And they let me in for free. That's almost DJing. They didn't even check. They're just like, yeah, okay, come on. So apparently that's like the free entry right there. Yeah, I'm playing.
Don't be using our cheat codes, don't be. Oh man. So you talked about your favorite performances. What has been, if you could go back, everybody's got the performance they're like, oh, that one did not make my list of like, I so want to redo.
Dude, this past weekend. The same place. Because the whole thing was all back to backs. You heard me complain about this. Like, I was probably complaining the whole ride back.
You got to do it back to back, but no, tag me in.
So like,
tag me in.
I don't mind doing back to backs. Back to backs are fun when the vibe is going right. I'm not gonna do that. When the vibe is going right, back to backs are great. The problem, and I love the guy I went back to back with. He's one of my good friends. You know what I mean? The problem was he didn't know how to use the equipment. You know what I mean? And in his defense, it was the XDJ, XZ, or whatever it was, the big all controller with 3000s attached to channel 3 and 4. And they were all linked up, and they were supposed to, like, you could see them all on the controller and the 3000 at the same time. And everybody else was working for fine, but for some reason when we got out there, they just were not linking no more. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, and he never used 3000. He didn't know how to use them. My buddy Molecule, he has 3000, so I've already had practice with before. I've used them quite a few times. They're really cool. It's almost like cheating. You can see the waveform of both songs on each side.
See, I want to play They're
so cool. But because of that, we had to like keep switching the USB track sources over and over. Constantly. Every time we switched songs, like I had to switch back to my USB every time on the deck, or he had to switch back to his USB. But he kept forgetting how to do it. He's never used it. He's like, and he would like, hey man, how do I do this? And he's drunk, dude. Like he is. I'm like, fuck. So it's like the back-to-back sounded. I listened to the audio back, and I'm sick. In my head, I was a little drunk too, but like in my head, I'm like, this is train wrecking so bad. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's screwing up some of these transitions. Like I'm constantly having to teach this guy how to use the equipment. I'm like, fuck, this is so bad. But I listened to the audio, and it wasn't that bad. And
it's crazy. It is crazy you say it, because that is. I swear to God, that is kind of like where I came from, like going to play last night in Wisconsin. I kind of ran into the issue where, like, everywhere else I've ever played, everybody always isn't using sync. So it's always like having to manually beat match. Mm. When I got up, the sync was on. So, like, it was like figuring out how to turn the syncs off.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I was, like, in my head cussing myself the mess out. Like, oh, Max, you what?
Yeah, and if you don't know what's on, it'll screw you up.
It will, like, and then like once you get, it's crazy because like once you start having them first problems, it makes you look at the whole set like, screw this.
I'm not really a sync guy. I'll only use sync. I'll tap it to save my mix. Like if it's like really bad, I'm like, if I have like a couple seconds to mix in before the song ends, like that nightmare where like, oh fuck, it's gonna go dead silent, and I'm trying to mix something really quick, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna hit sync till it links up to something. The beat doesn't go all like offbeat sound. And he was kind of doing that to me that night, man. Like he would like, I can't tell how many times he would like mix in a song. And he looks back at me, he's like, "Bro, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "What?" Then he'll like play a song, and he could play like the second drop of the song, right? But then there's only 8 bars left of the track entirely.
Like, oh, shit.
He plays it with 8 bars left. Looks at me and says, "Hey man, you ready?" I'm like, "No, what are you talking about?"
I'm not ready.
And like on top of like the deck's not linking properly. I was like, kept telling him like, hey man, just use the XZ as a mixer. Just use it as a mixer. And he just, for some reason, that was like confusing the crap out the whole time. He's like, he couldn't understand that. I'm like, dude, just use the 3000s, and just this is our mixer. That's all you got to worry about. And it took him like a half hour for that to finally click in his head. I love the guy, but man, I was like, this is the hardest back-to-back I've ever done in my life. We got through it though.
Y'all did, and it wasn't like you said in your head right there was like but it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, I think because we always just kind of judge ourselves harder than everybody else. Yeah,
I mean, like there's definitely been DJs that have train wrecked way worse.
Oh yeah, for sure. My first set was terrible.
I don't even remember my first EDM set. I was so lit that night.
My first set ever, actually, my first actual live show was Bill. He brought out Heavy Grinder back in the day, in 2015, I want to say. I got to play the side room for that.
Nice.
And, it was my first set ever. I didn't really know what I was doing. And, yeah, I bought like a little controller. And I was learning how to play with it for like a couple of days before that show came up. I'd never played before. Before then, I was using like just Ableton Live, like, with my MIDI controller, and that's how I was DJing, right?
Yeah, I've seen this. I know what you mean.
Yeah. And so I never used like an actual like set of turntables of any kind before, and that was the first time doing that. And it was fine. The only problem was the guy who was supposed to go on after me showed up an hour late. None of his stuff was set up, and he was hammered. And I'm like, I'm already playing like an hour and 45 minutes of stuff I was not prepared to play. That first time DJ, I didn't have that much music. I'm like, dude,
what is wrong with you?
Yeah, it was crazy.
So, 5 to 10 years, if somebody was like Hotpxl, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully, consistently getting more festival bookings, and not just like the little. Because like right now, I got the Dance Festopia festival coming up, right? But if you look on the poster, I'm like one of those like little names in the very bottom. Hopefully, in 5 to 10, 5 years, I want to bump up that next tier of like having actual logo name on there. It doesn't have to be the big giant one, but I just want to be a little bit higher. You know what I mean?
And I think that's a little bit more recognition.
I think just a little bit more in 5 years is a reasonable goal.
I don't think it's going to take you 5. I'm going to be honest, bro. Like, dead honestly, as a friend and as a fan of yours myself, you'll be just sitting and watching how you're moving. I don't think it's going to take you 5 to get there.
We'll see. I'm not the best marketing. You're either good at making or good at like social media. And I am not good at social media, like one little bit. And that's the name of the game right now, unfortunately.
It is.
Yeah.
If something ever comes along where it takes over this man's social media to help him out, or somebody can afford to help him market, the world is in trouble. Did tell, say that. So, out of your latest, latest, but out of your later songs, and let's go. Really, like once you really started, like really kind of vibing in the deep house and the stutter house realm. Out of them, right? Which one has been like your most enjoyed song that you like making the most out of them?
Out of those two, definitely the stutter house.
No. Out of the songs you put out lately. So Parallel, Rare.
The ones that are talking about specifically just the ones that are released right now?
Yeah, out of your released songs, which one did you have the most fun with?
I think I had the most fun making that In My Dream song, just because I got to make that really cool music video with the old VHS camera, and that was really cool. But I do really like Rare and Parallel. They do sound very similar songs, but I think they are also much higher quality in terms of like just just the song itself. Out of the two of those, I kind of like Parallel a little better, which is kind of funny. And I think mostly because it's a little newer than Rare, But I really like the way that song progresses through. It's a super vibe, It's a lot of other people's favorite ones too, out of the two of them. But the In My Dreams one, even though it's not like as high quality as those two songs, I think that was definitely the most fun to make, and it's definitely a lot of people's favorite too. Yeah, that song
is like a song that smacks.
Yeah, that song is cool.
Lee Houston, you asked if he's got any links to his music. Yes, you can find him on all major platforms. You simply search the name Hotpxl, HOTPXL.
Yep.
I don't know what I was about to spell. I'm weak. So,
yeah, I feel like if you're gonna listen to any of my songs, like that should be the first one you check out.
Yeah,
it's probably the best one out.
If anybody that was to see this was a musician, and they were like, if I was to ask him for any tips or anything, any advice, what would you give them?
That's a good question. Something I tell a lot of people all the time is don't.
Hold on real quick. Yes, Lee, but no space. No space in between the T and the P. Okay.
Yeah, so I would say, 'cause this is something I've definitely told people before. I think I might have even told you at one point. Don't like fall in love with the first thing you make. You know what I mean? The first chord progression you make, the first melody you make. Don't be afraid to erase things and try something new. You know what I mean? The first thing you make probably isn't gonna be the best. You know, it's not gonna be the best one you ever make ever. So
Not at all.
yeah. Maybe take like if you make a melody, whether it be on your computer in your recording program or just like playing an instrument, take that melody and write it 3 more times. Just slightly different each time. You know, maybe it'll fit better. Yeah. That's probably one of the best advice I ever gotten personally too.
That is.
Like,
Oh, that was a good one.
Don't just marry the first thing you make, man. It's not.
And that was like dead honest. A lot of people, if I was to ask them that question, they gave like a generic, basic answer. So I like the answer. You came with something like, oh, you know what? Something that actually stick. Like I'm not going to tell you what everybody already regurgitate. Here you go.
Yeah, it's something I'm like if you ever watch me like when I'm creating like we'll say like a tech house song, right? Tech house is very just like drums and a bass line, you know, groove, very centered, right? That it's if you ever watch me write these bass lines, it's funny, man. So I'll go through like 10 of them before I finally stick with one. Or sometimes I'll write one, write like 3 or 4 more, I'll change it up a million times till I like it, and end up like somehow back to the first one I made all over again. Like maybe that was when it worked, maybe it didn't. You know what I mean? But I didn't like sit there and hit Control Z a bunch of times to get back to it. I ended up just remaking it a second time by accident, just because that's what it just kind of like clicked.
I was supposed to remake you all the way, but I guess I was just revamping you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we know that you got the electricity show coming up. We know you got some music dropping. So, where do you got music dropping for people? You hinted about having some releases, so go ahead and tell them where they're going to find them at.
Yeah. So I don't even know if I'm allowed to even talk about them right now.
Oh, Schmick.
I have release dates. I don't think they're probably not a big secret, to be honest. But because I do have dates for them. I can't tell the dates off the top of my head. I don't know. They're pretty far out. Like they're like August and July time.
Ooh, and the summer vibes.
Yeah, but I have another release coming out with Tasty Network. That's going to be near the end of July. Another one with Speed House, and because they recently rebranded from just straight up Speed House to it's what's it called? Speed World Records now. So it's anything with like a 4 to the floor bass line or 4 to the floor beat, 140 plus BPM. Like their whole thing has got to be faster. You know what I mean? And so I kind of just did my own style, just faster. It worked.
140
they loved
plus
it.
House. Ooh.
Yeah, they loved it. And that's my friend Maxxx2Unholy's really into that stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And Speed House typically is kind of just like really fast bass house or like kind of fast like hardcore hard style stuff. But I kind of just took it my own spin on it once they redid it, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put my own thing on. They loved it, so they're like, yeah, we're taking this right away. And then then I have another one coming out with the Boathouse, and that's the collab with my friend Who1Y up in Toronto.
Nice.
Yeah, dude, that one's kind of funny. Because I was
look at you, Mr. International collab. Wipe him down.
No, that one's funny because like we finished this collab, and he's not a very like talky person when it comes to like shopping out the labels. So I was like, he did most of the work on the collab, to be honest, and so it was kind of my job to to fish out there and find a label for it. And come to find out, the label that took it is actually because I submitted to them twice and they denied it the first time and took it the second time. I just thought that was, but it was like after 5 months of trying, dude, I was like on it. Like I was not gonna take no. Like I had
somebody
dude,
take this track.
Yeah, I was like, dude, self-release is not an option for this song. Someone's gonna take it. And what happened is like, if you ever use there's a platform called TrackStack. It's like one of the sites people are using now to submit songs to labels. And when I got the accepted thing from these guys from the Boathouse on TrackStack, you can see the history on there, and they'd already previously rejected it like 5 months beforehand. I was like, whoa, I didn't even know I already sent the song, but that's hilarious. You know what I mean?
So we got a question for you.
Yeah.
They want to know where you got the voice for In Your Dreams.
Splice. It's a Splice sample. I don't really like using Splice samples. I will, and I've used them plenty of times. But a lot of them are just so overused. Everyone oh, that's a splice vocal. That's a splice vocal. You hear it all the time. And it's a good and bad thing. Because it's bad for originality purposes, but it's good for. And this is something I've actually heard from I believe it was Armada's label. They actually prefer getting songs with splice vocals. And the reason being is that people already recognize those vocals, like normal listeners, casual fans at raves. Like if somebody goes to EDC and they hear a song with a splice vocal on, they're not going to know. Producers will know. The random guy dancing where it does not know. You know what I mean? But they hear the vocals, they can already recognize it, they can already like get behind it and, relate to it. And so it's
the engagement.
It has that engagement, yeah.
That makes sense. And it's crazy because like, as artists, we'll think of it from like a producer DJ standpoint. We're looking at it, like you say, we're looking like what the crap. But
yeah,
it makes sense. I mean, from like a bigger perspective, like, all right, something people recognize that they'll easily hook to.
Yeah, and sometimes it's kind of cool too, seeing how other people use those vocals in different songs. Me, because I'm just like a little bit of a hater in general. If I hear a song, it's like, if I use those vocals before, I hear a song with it, I'm going to skip it. I don't want to hear what they do with it. I don't think it's so much me just being a hater, more so I don't want to lose my own perspective on it. You know what I mean?
I get that one.
Now, if it's some other vocal I don't care about, I didn't use it. I've heard two different guys use it, like whatever. You know what I mean?
So, if people want to look for you, they want to find more information about you. What's the ways to find the information about you?
Instagram is probably the best way to go. I post the most on there. Opposed to anything else. Actually, what's kind of funny about that, because like how you can link your Instagram to your Facebook artist page, you can post them. I can't do that anymore. Facebook will not let me do that anymore. That's why. So every time I make a post on Instagram, it also posts to my personal Facebook page now, and not my artist page. And what happened was, apparently, I owed Facebook like a couple, like 75 cents or something like that, years ago, and they used that as a reason to now disconnect my Facebook from my Instagram permanently. They will not let me argue with it.
Hold on, Facebook. So we know this now. Don't do nothing. I got to pay y'all no money for it. Yeah. They go play these reindeer games.
Yeah, Facebook advertisement. I don't like it. For one, it's pay to play. Facebook's already pay to play. We all know that. Anything meta is pay to play, and it doesn't really work very well. I probably put $100 promotion one time and got like 5 likes on something. I'll post it. Like, wow. Dude, I can get more than this just posting regularly. I'm not paying for this.
It'd be like going to find groups and just reposting yourself.
Yeah, and then the crazy part is, if you don't pay them, this is the experience I actually personally have with them. If you don't pay the money you owe them, right, they will literally take out increments of money from different accounts in different places in the world. I had withdrawals from Facebook. It was like a couple dollars here from Canada, a couple dollars here from Thailand, a couple dollars here from Germany. Like that's how they got my money, because I wasn't going to pay them this money I owed them.
Oh yeah,
they're shiesty.
I didn't invest no money in Facebook advertising.
Yeah. If you like, dude, I don't give Facebook my phone number no more. I made sure that's all completely gone. All my credit card information is gone from them. They don't get nothing.
Yeah, they don't get none of that. So
nothing, dude.
I do know that you just caught you a new YouTube subscriber today.
Sweet.
Yes, Facebook does own Instagram, but Instagram, something I've learned from watching, him myself, is a lot of artists and a lot of creatives are gyrating more towards Instagram over Facebook.
Yeah, that's where most DJs and musicians kind of live right now. Also, TikTok is a great one. I don't post enough to get on for TikTok. I had a couple posts on TikTok just go viral, like random posts. You've seen them.
Yeah.
Like one was like my old phone. And that went super viral and gave me a bunch of views and a bunch of followers. And I just don't post enough there to really maintain that.
I think for me, like I started out messing with TikTok, but it's got too much of like more of like it's more like a kid's platform for real. Like it's crazy.
No, I don't think so at all. I wouldn't say so. I think it's just kind of like when you first open it up, you're going to go with random stuff. But I think the more you use it, the more it learns your algorithm.
And that's probably it, because I put it down for so long.
Yeah, because I get a whole lot of stuff that's definitely catered to me. I get like a ton of funny videos that I always like kind of react with. Then I get a lot of political stuff that I'm usually interested in, or like different science things I'm interested in, lots of music stuff, things like that. It's mostly people our age and older. I'll never see videos of like younger kids unless it's something like really funny, like some kid getting beat up or something. Just something I thought was funny, you know. Not saying a kid getting beat up was funny, but if it's like, you know, some kid just getting pranked or whatever, you know, it's whatever. If it's funny, it's funny.
Yes, sir. Well, it's 8 p.m. Eastern time. Y'all know what that means here on the Unholy Tea. We didn't hit that outro time. It's been great having to sit down with my man Hotpxl. I definitely hope like we can sit down and have some more sessions.
Yeah.